Hey everybody, welcome back. We're on our second match review video. Um, this one is with one of my all-time favorite students and favorite training partners, and that's Daniel Altenritter, aka Huni. He started training with us at Lightning Kicks, and then for his job moved out to Utah. So now he's training with one of our good friends, Jeremy Horn, over there. A phenomenal jiu-jitsu martial artist, a long time BJJ black, or sorry, a Taekwondo black belt. Um, and this is an old video. It's from his very first ever jiu-jitsu competition, one of the new breed competitions here in the Midwest. So we're gonna break it down, take a look at some of the things he did well, some of the things he was struggling with, and then I'll sprinkle in a few tips and show you guys a couple techniques that I would have done or tried to do in a similar situation. So let's go ahead and get started. So Daniel's the one in the blue, and right now fighting, pulling guard. I gotta be careful because both of my guys have pulled guard so far. People are gonna think I'm one of those dirty guard pullers. Um, and does a beautiful job of getting the sweep. So when he pulled guard, he was on his back briefly, but then did an awesome job of sweeping his opponent over. And since he pulled guard, he didn't give up any points for the takedown. And then from his guard, he put his opponent down and got on top. So that classifies as a sweep, and so that earns Huni 2 points there. And so right now Huni's up 2-0. And one of the things that um, Huni doesn't do great right here, um, and much better at it now. It definitely comes with experience. One of the biggest things I see different between like white belts and then purple and brown belts is the positioning that they have and being aware of not only what they're going to try to do, but also what their opponent's going to try to do. So right now, Huni is kind of in mount, but instead of being around the body, he's kind of sitting on his opponent's shoulder and neck. And he has one leg on either side. So almost in like a half of a triangle position. So really his opponent here can do one of two things. He can either try to roll backwards or kind of rolling to his left. But if he does that, he's going to put himself right into a triangle by Huni. So the smarter thing he's going to try to do is to belly out and then try to come out the back door. So he's going to try to basically wiggle his way backwards by turning to his left, or sorry, turning to his right, taking this elbow and moving it to the mat over here. In order to do that, he's got to free this arm that's on the bottom. And we can see Huni's kind of attacking it, but the arm is mostly free, and um, we'll see here Huni's grabbing onto it, but his opponent manages to basically belly out, and that makes it really difficult for Huni to do very much. All right, so there, he's pretty much lost it. Now, um, from a similar position here, right, bottom hand's trapped, top hand is over the arm or over the leg. Um, One of the main things that we could do is Huni could grab onto um, Huni could grab onto the wrist here, the sleeve, and by grabbing that, gets a good pull up, and that grip is going to prevent the opponent from being able to move very much. So now our opponent has really two options. Our opponent can turn down to the belly, um, but unable to move because that arm is stopping them. They can't turn if their arm isn't able to move, or they're going to have to turn away. And again, what's that do? It puts them right into our triangle. So here our opponent's kind of stuck. They can either stay there and we'll end up working into our triangle, or they can move into us, at which point they give us the triangle and it's going to be even tighter. One of the main things that again, a really experienced opponent will do is not just work towards what they're looking for, but also do things through grips and body positioning to limit your options. And so here, if Huni would have pulled up on that elbow really hard instead of just getting a good grip on it, he would have taken that option away from his opponent and then his opponent would have been stuck basically with two bad options. And whenever we can remove good options from our opponent and leave them with only bad options, that's going to be a win for us. And that's why often when you're rolling with much more experienced people, it feels like everything you do is a trap and you just kind of get claustrophobic because they're taking away all those good options by good positioning and grips. And when all you're left with is bad options, that starts to be pretty demoralizing. So doing a lot of work here, and Huni being a very, again, athletic and skilled martial artist, is going to do a couple funky things this match. One of the things he's going to do here is an inverted triangle, but his positioning's a little bit off for him to really finish it well. So we can see he's kind of square on his opponent and off to the side a little bit, and the trapped arm is down by his knee. And so even though he's here for a while, Huni's going to have a really, really hard time finishing this triangle because he doesn't have his legs in the right position. His opponent's doing a beautiful job of controlling his head, pressuring in against someone who's not very flexible. They're going to lose their triangle, and then you're going to end up being on top in a better position. Huni, one of the most flexible people I've ever rolled with. Wrestling and grappling with him is like going with an octopus. It's difficult to kind of pressure him so much and apply so much stress that he opens things up. But against most people, um, he would be out of this triangle by now. But again, notice where the trapped hand is, all the way up by the knee. All right, this is not the right position, and that's why Huni's not able to finish this triangle here. And pretty shortly, he's going to end up just having to bail because this is a lot of work on Huni's legs for something he's not going to end up finishing. Now, what we want to do instead is just a simple adjustment. Just a small adjustment will make this much, much better. So here, this is how Huni's legs were positioned. We can see the trapped arm is all the way down by the knee. And when that happens, no matter how much pressure I'm applying, it's going to be really, really difficult to finish the choke. There's going to be too much space here. If we rotate our hips around, so our hips are on the same side as the trapped arm, now instead of the trapped arm being up by our knee, it's way, way higher up by the thigh. All right, way up by the upper thigh. And you notice instead of my thigh being kind of in front of her neck, now it's my shin and my calf. Much, much better position, much tighter finish, and that's a quick submission there. So whenever we do an inverted triangle like that, or like a triangle from the back like that, we want to make sure that our hips are on the side of the trapped arm. Right? So a little bit different than a regular triangle. All right. So back to Huni here, doing an outstanding job of keeping his guard very, very agile and aggressive with his legs. And one of the things that Huni does consistently throughout this entire match is using both his arms and his legs. All right, so one of the things a lot of people do, especially when they're beginning, is they'll use either their arms or their legs, but not both. Huni does a great job of using both. Now, this position here, Huni's doing a good job of pulling down and looking for a couple options here. But whenever our opponent has their gi loose and we end up in this position, there's a beautiful, beautiful choke that my professor, Professor Buyu, showed last week over one of our kind of online meetings while everybody's in lockdown here. So the choke that we can do from here is just an absolutely beautiful thing. So what we're going to do is whenever the gi is loose, um, we can reach back, grab the same side kind of lapel way down at the bottom, and we're going to feed it to our top hand. So this top hand needs to pull down aggressively on the neck. We don't want them to be moving around very much, and it's going to hide us feeding that lapel over. Now, once we get the lapel over to our top hand, or kind of our hugging hand, then we're going to end up setting up kind of a variation of an Ezekiel. And to do that, we need to make sure there's a little bit of grip. If my fist is pulling all the way down to my shoulder, it's going to be difficult to slide my hand in there. So I want to make sure I've got a little bit of a slack so that my hand can slide in and reach across for the neck. So it goes in deep there. Now to finish this, I'm going to pull my elbow down as I point my fist, which is hidden. I'm going to kind of push it up as I pull this behind her head. All right, so I'm kind of dragging my left hand across, trying to pull it to the other shoulder as I straighten out my right arm. And that's going to put a lot of pressure on her neck, and it's going to be a pretty good choke there. All right. And Huni kind of looks like he's going for something similar to that a little bit, but again, back early when he's just beginning, doesn't know kind of every option that's there, but he's still doing a great job of being aggressive and making his opponent work. And one of the key things I want you guys to watch is you can see, and we'll go back just for a second, you can see that he's constantly shifting his hips, pulling, pushing with his legs, changing up his hands, where his grips are. He's hooking things, he's shifting his angles. Very, very outstanding job, especially for a younger white belt. Now, this is a position that we see, especially with newer grapplers, where in somebody's guard, the top person is pushing on a knee, and because their weight is forward, they're using their hand to kind of pressure onto the chest. And what he's trying to do is push that knee all the way down in order to break the guard. Then he can step through with his knee and then slide over in order to pass the guard. All right, that's the main goal here for our opponent. Um, and Huni is in a beautiful spot to do a simple arm drag in order to take the back. So what we're going to do here is this right hand that Daniel has on his opponent's hand, he's going to take that right hand and reach across underneath the arm and grab his opponent's tricep. And then he's going to pull his opponent down and he's going to shift to the side. So if we take a look at what that should look like here, we reach across, pull the arm down, and as we're pulling the arm, I need to shift my body as well. And as soon as I've cleared it, as soon as I have cleared it, I'm going to reach up and I'm going to put my chest right to the back. I don't want there to be a lot of space here. I'm immediately going to close that distance, put my chest to the back, and then I'm going to reach across and try to grab onto this arm. Once I have that arm, I'm going to do one of two things, or sorry, one of three things really. I can just kind of rotate my hips up and then take the back from there. I can do what I'm going to do in this video, just pull directly back. Or what oftentimes ends up happening when our opponent's resisting full force is I won't just be able to pull like this. So what I'll do is I'll shrimp, and then once I've created space with my hips, I'm gonna pull on their upper body while keeping their bottom arm stuck, and then that's gonna be able to pull them into back mount for me. All right. This is one of my favorite things to do whenever an opponent has an elbow close to my side. Great way to kind of turn the tables and take their back from having them in my guard. All right. So still fighting. In a second here, Huni's going to end up going for a sweep. And when he does, his opponent's going to make a mistake and he's going to kind of pressure. Oh, yeah, he goes for the gogoplata first. That's right. Now, the gogoplata, one of the very few white belts I've ever seen go for this. And this move takes a lot of flexibility. The only thing I would like to see differently from Huni is right now Huni's hips are way up in the air. And what that does is it makes it difficult to really get the proper pressure here on the neck. If Huni were to kind of shift backwards a little bit, get his hips more underneath his opponent's shoulders, not completely, but a little bit more, it would make the angle much, much better in order for him to actually be able to finish this. But great attempt, probably not something his opponent was expecting to see, because that's kind of a fancy move for a newer grappler. But again, as we mentioned earlier, Huni does an outstanding job of grabbing with both his feet and his hands, using his entire body to not not allow his opponent to pass, and is constantly changing his grips, changing his position, changing his angles. Absolutely beautiful. Goes for the sweep. His opponent comes back into him, and he transitions to a triangle. Beautiful transition here. Um, and with time about to be up, Huni, instead of trying to finish the triangle, is just kind of relaxing for a second. All right, just kind of relaxing for a second. But this is one of the things that I love to do from the triangle position, especially if I'm having a hard time finishing the triangle. Because there are some times where you just, no matter what you're doing, you can't seem to get the right position in order to finish the choke using your legs. So when that happens, or if you're in a slightly looser triangle and like Huni's in right now where you can't quite finish it, then there's a little trick that you can do to give yourself that better opportunity. So what we're going to do here is we're going to grab onto the hand and we're going to rotate it away from the body. So we're going to take this, pinch really good on the elbow so the elbow has no wiggle room, and then we're just going to take that arm and we're going to open it up away from the body. And though it looks like it's going to apply a lot of pressure to the elbow, it's actually a really, really tight shoulder lock, and it's almost impossible to defend from this position. So we just rotate it away from the body, and that opens everything up, puts a lot of strain on the shoulder, and a great way to get the tap. But again, just a few seconds left in the match. Huni was up by points. You can see he's not really working anymore. He's just kind of riding out the clock, making sure his opponent doesn't do anything. And he ends his very first match victorious. All right, absolutely wonderful job. So hopefully you guys get a little something from this. You can kind of see what some other people did and kind of learn from their mistakes or learn some things that they did that you would like to do as well. Um, a little different format than the first video, so make sure you let me know which one you liked more, if you kind of like seeing everything on the screen at once or the kind of shifting back and forth. And then if you have a video you would like me to review, um, or if you have kind of a technique or a drill you would like to see done, just let me know. Make sure you kind of shoot me a message or leave a comment, and I'll do my best with all this free time to get a couple things out for you. All right, hope everyone's staying safe, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.